Kia ora, morena. Let's talk about voodoo dolls and curses. So, I was just watching a video that reminded me of why I need to do this video. Everybody knows what a voodoo doll is. Everybody knows what a curse is. I don't need to go into what those are. So, I'm just going to talk about my side of it. And what I can tell you I know from experience as a high priestess, as a shaman, as an indigenous shaman. Māori people, we have what's called a tapu and a utu, and they are very powerful curses. Tapus are for protection, and utus are to teach you karmic lessons. It's like, I say that an utu is like a curse of karmic consequences. But Māori people would never, ever, 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 ever put a curse on someone who didn't deserve it, because it's calling out to the gods to say, look what they're doing, you need to take care of this. But a tapu is kind of like a curse of protection. Like, we will put tapus on our properties when we first buy houses. We always put a tapu down whenever we're going to have a tangi, which is a Māori funeral. Our minister, our reverend will come in. He or she will put a tapu down. And well, I say he because I've never known a female one. We'll put a tapu down, and it. But also, like, tribal elders and that can put tapus down as well. But it's like it's where you put a protection on the property so that no harm can form against the person who's died and the grieving, because the whole point of a tangi is that the family and the friends in the community and the loved ones come along to take care of the family while they're grieving, but also to give the person who's died, their spirit, 3 days to get used to being dead. And while their soul is kind of floating about the ethers, getting ready to make their transition, their physical transition, in technical terms, waiting to be conceived into their new life, basically, we're there to guide them and watch over them. So, you know, a lot of things can happen with a soul between this life and the next. So we all come along and we take care of them and we watch over them. Like with a Māori tangi, the body is brought home and every single thing is taken out of the room, and you put a mattress down, you put the coffin down or the casket, and then all the loved ones sleep in that room. And like, there's certain protocols in there, and then the extended family and the friends and like the neighbourhood and the community and that will come and provide koha, which is like charity of love, charity of giving, and they'll do things like do the dishes, mow the lawns, cook their food. There's always food going 24 hours a day so that the grieving family don't have to worry about anything. The house will be tidied, the men will mow the lawns, the men do all the cooking, the women prepare the food, the men cook it. You know, and they take shifts and turns and all that. But while that's happening, because it's such a sacred process for Māori people, we put a tapu down so that nobody comes in to break the protocol, nobody comes in to disrespect the dead or the grieving. So we put a tapu down. There are obviously people that will put tapus on innocent people, but you have to be an ignorant Māori person. You have to be an ignorant, pretty dumb Polynesian to go messing around with that stuff, because it's messing around with the ancestors, and we do not mess with our ancestors. Like the way Polynesian people, First Nations people, have so much respect for our ancestors that you'd have to be a pretty ignorant backstreet Māori to a backstreet Māori is like our version of like a, I don't know, pretty dumb, pretty dumb. Nobody no Māori person, no Polynesian person in their right mind would mess around with a tapu of an innocent person. When you call a tapu or a utu upon someone, it's because you know for a fact that you need protection from them, or that they need protection from themselves, or that you need to draw the ancestors' attention. So they're the two biggest ones for us Māori people. But then, of course, you have your voodoo dolls, and that everybody, you can buy voodoo dolls everywhere. And what people need to understand about curses and voodoo dolls is that the power is in the belief that it will work. And what you need to understand is, if you are an innocent person and somebody has placed a curse on you, or used a voodoo doll in your name, the sin isn't yours, the sin is theirs. And they are the ones who are being tempted by the devil in order to sin. Like, let's see how far you'll go with messing with someone's life. So, you used that voodoo doll, did you? Right, okay, that's karmic debt for you. So when bad stuff happens to the person with the doll, or the person who's laid out the curse, that's why it's coming back on them. But none should fear it more than when they die, because then all of that gets weighed up, and God or their gods or ancestors will go, oh, so you used a voodoo doll on that person and they were innocent. You used a voodoo doll on that person because you were suffering from jealousy, from envy, from, so they weigh up all your virtues and vices. And if you use curses and voodoo dolls on people, it gets weighed against the purity of your soul when you die, and it will come back on you. And you may be reborn with like deformities, or like a skin affliction, or a disease, or depending on the measure of the curse. When your purity, when your virtue, the purity of your heart is weighed or measured or judged when you die, depending on what you believe. When you have your judgment day, when you die, when you're sitting in purgatory, everything you've done, everything you do in the occult and the spiritual, even gossiping about someone when you know it's not true, telling lies about someone, doing something to get to cause consequences for someone else. I had a girl when I was training to do my teacher's training. Her name was Helen. She faked a threatening letter. She faked it and told the teachers that I had sent her a threatening letter, and it wasn't even in my handwriting, because she tried to get me fired, because she didn't like the fact that she was an actual, she was like the teacher's pet, but I was the one that the kids liked. The kids loved me, and the kids didn't like her, whereas she was like, all the teachers liked her, but all the kids liked me. And when I left, all the kids tried to stage a sit-in, and they all refused to go to school. They all turned up at my house one day, and they said that they had found out that I was leaving, and that they were going to stage a sit-in protest the next day in order to get me back. But I said no. I told them not to get into trouble. But these were all like 9, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, who all, like a whole, like 30 of them, turned up on my mother's doorstep, because I was in the bath at the time. It was just like, and it was all because of her, because like they hated her, because she was jealous of the fact that the kids wouldn't listen to her, but they loved me, and they were all wanting to like be in my reading class and all that sort of thing. I had a couple of teachers there that I got on with like a house on fire. In my ex's dungeon, where he's holding all my stuff hostage, one day I'll bring out all my certificates and my letters of recommendation and that from a couple of the teachers that I worked with, because they're glowing recommendations. It was all because the kids liked me, because I know how to speak the language of child, because I'm a gatekeeper. So so anyway, she ended up paying for all the lies that she told later on. She ended up paying for dearly, because when you are putting anything out that isn't true, or when you put anything out that is could be detrimental to an innocent person, not that you have the right to judge anyone who is guilty, you have to, in order to be in the kind of position of power where you can point to the gods and ancestors and say, pay attention to that person, they're messing up. You have to have permission, you have to be ordained. Not you can't just go around pointing fingers and laying blame on people if you don't have the authority to do it, because it's assuming a position or a role that your ancestors haven't blessed and that your god or your gods haven't agreed to. So you're basically like butting in where you don't belong. And regardless of what anyone says, you cannot change someone's destiny. So if you think someone's put a curse on you or someone's done something to you and you've been unfairly treated or unfairly paid the consequences for it, or you think it's because they've used the voodoo doll on you, it's not true. Nobody can change your destiny. There isn't a single person in the world that can change your destiny. Everything happens because it's meant to, and when things do happen, it's usually because it's teaching you a lesson or them a lesson. If it's teaching you a lesson, it's to give them karmic debt. So everything that a person does when they think they have the authority to use the occult on another person, it is all measured and weighed up as to whether they have the right, whether they have the ordination to do it, whether they have permission, whether they have the power or the ability. Because 99.9% of people that do that sort of stuff, they're not mentally stable. If they're willingly wanting to hurt someone, if they're going out of their way to do something to purposefully hurt someone who has offended them because of jealousy or envy, or because they're honest, or because they're a threat to their whatever, or jealousy, envy, basically. Jealousy is because you're jealous of someone because of what they have. You're envious of someone because of who they are. So when you're dealing with people who put curses and stuff on you because of jealousy or envy, or because of rejection, or because you embarrassed them, or because um, they're offended by your very existence, or you trigger their dark side, you trigger their inner demons, that's on them, that's not on you. So if you know someone's put a curse on you, you just say to your god, you just say to your ancestors, I know you love me, I know you protect me, I know I'm surrounded by the blood of Jesus, or if you're a Christian, the blood of Christ. I know I'm blessed by, my ancestors. I know I'm safe. You have no power over me. Remember the famous, the most powerful words in the universe. You have no power over me. And there's nothing they can do. Once you know it's there, or once you suspect it's there, as soon as you put that power of protection up, it goes straight back to them. It bounces off them energetically, because the dark side feed off your fear. And the biggest thing that a person with a voodoo doll or who does black magic wants you to think is that they're more powerful than you, and they want you to fear them. But the second you put that barrier of protection up, they can't touch you, and what they send to you bounces off you and goes back to them. And then that's when God and Satan deal with it, because Satan doesn't like people who pick on the pure and innocent. So, when you have a voodoo doll, the kind of magic and protection that I've done, I do like binding spells where I will bind people from causing damage to themselves when their actions are hurting the people around them. I never, ever, ever do anything that is going to change anyone's destiny. I leave them to their karmic consequences. So when I've done bindings on people, I will bind them to protect the damage that they're causing from hurting the people around them until they've learnt their lesson, to fix what they've broken or to change what needs to be changed in themselves. But it is all up to them whether they do it or not. The curse of karmic consequences. It's not technically a curse, it's teaching them a lesson. But I have the authority to do it. I'm ordained because I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm an Egyptian high priestess, and I'm also an indigenous shaman and a reverend. Like, I've got the credentials, I've earned my right to do that sort of thing, but I only cast judgment on people who absolutely deserve it. Um, But you cannot change someone's destiny. When things happen to you, they happen to you because they are meant to. And I know they say, well, they put a curse on me and then this bad thing happened. There's no such thing as coincidences, but there is such thing as divine timing. And if what they've said or done to you happens to coincide with something else that has happened to you, it's not because of them, it's because of divine timing. It was meant to happen to you. And when those things happen, it's to make you take a good hard look at yourself, to see what needs to change, or to see who you need to remove yourself from. But it doesn't matter who it is, or how powerful they think they are, or how much money's been paid to have, a shaman or witch doctor or whatever take care of it, especially if they're killing things in order to do it. The curse isn't on you, it's going to be on them. And it will come down on them. It might not be while they're living, but the hardest lessons for them will come when it is meant to and how it is meant to. And it's got nothing to do with you. You just mind your own business and walk away. Once you put that barrier of protection up, you have no power over me. I'm protected by the blood of Christ. I'm surrounded by my gods and ancestors. You have no power over me. You're putting that barrier up and then they no longer have power over you. But the thing is, you have to mean it when you say it. So you can't be all scared of them, because what you need to understand is that these people are trying to have spiritual authority over the course of your journey. They're trying to have spiritual authority and take control over your soul's journey. And nobody has the right to do that. You have an agreement with God before you're born and your ancestors of exactly who it is you're going to be and what it is you're going to be when you're born. But then you decide the path of how you're going to get there, and whether you take the high road or the low road, the road to heaven or the road to hell. You're in complete control of that. The biggest sin to man, regardless of the 10 Commandments, I'm telling you now, my Father has made this very, 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 very clear. The biggest sin against God that you can commit is to play God. To play God with somebody else's life, to play God with somebody else's destiny, to play God with evolution, to play God with biology, to play God with the evolutionary process of mankind and our biology, to play God like your Bill Gates and your Donald Trumps and your Elon Musks and all of that. That's playing God. That is the biggest sin you can commit. He'll even let you have your false idols and your pop stars and your movie stars and all of that. But the one thing you never, ever, 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 ever do is think that you are more powerful or have the power of God. The things that I do, I'm allowed to do, like my finger of point, because God will say, I need you to do this. I want you to do, can you watch that person for me and tell me what you think? Because he's busy, he's got things to do, just like Satan. They're off taking care of, the big issues, and they leave people like me to come down here and take care of like the smaller issues, weeding out the scum, clearing out the clogged drain. I'm the plumber. I clear out the clogged drain. I clear out the scum. I clean out the scum. I sift through the dirt and remove the impurities that are a danger or detrimental to a person's spiritual journey or to humanity's spiritual journey. So all of these videos that I put out, these podcasts and that, where I'm teaching the truth about the occult, it's all to unclog the drain, because as we know from Santaro and Christopher Black and Rocio and all that with their tarot readings and all their occult stuff, it's dangerous. The people who follow them, the people who believe them, are being led down the garden path. And we know what happened when Eve got led down the garden path. We know what happened when Jesus got led down the garden path. The Garden of Gethsemane, the Garden of Eden, right? We know what happened. Well, these are your asps. These are your snakes tempting you to eat the apple. Don't eat the apple. remember, you have no power over me, and you have to believe it. You have to get angry. Like, how dare you tell me that I had one doctor when I was locked up scream at me. He raised his voice and screamed at me, and he said to me, "Don't you know I control you? Don't you know I have the power to control you?" I said, "No, you don't." I said, "All you do is make people cry." And they were like, "Oh, okay, Debbie, calm down." I said, "No," I said, "you're not very good at your job." I said, "Because you're supposed to be helping people. But I've watched all these girls come in to see you, and they all come out in floods of tears and come crying to me. And then I've had to cuddle them and say, don't listen, don't believe it. He doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah." The next day, the doctor was gone. Never saw him again. And then I got a new doctor who said, "The nurses are telling me there's nothing wrong with you, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let you go." So, and that's when I had Jodie and Sally Ann, the two. Jodie worked at reception, and Sally Ann was one of my nurses. I adored Sally Ann. She defended me from day one. She was the one that said to me when I first went into anaphylaxis, when they first forced me to take the tablet, when I was vomiting and she had to take my heart, do my heart rate because it was through the roof, and I was vomiting all over the floor. And she said, "Thank God you took the pill and not the injection." She said, "Because they wanted us to give you the injection." And she said, "That would have been harder to get out of your system." She said, "God knows what would have happened." So after then, I knew I had to take those tablets. I had to willingly take those pills, because if they decided to come in and hold me down and inject me, I'd be dead now. Because remember, I was being starved. So, yeah, so that doctor, "Don't you know I have the power to control you?" Because, what's that famous saying? What's that joke? What's the difference between God and a doctor? God doesn't think he's a doctor, but a doctor will always think he's God because they think they have the power over you. They don't have power over you. And I told Tracy, my community care nurse, I said, "I'm going to play the game until I'm out of here." And I said, "Once I'm done," I said, "you all better start running." Because I knew I was going to have to do my own investigation. I knew I was going to have to fight to clear my name. But everybody who thought that they had put a curse on me, because trust me when I say they sacrificed my cat, they did a human sacrifice, they used grave dirt, they were trying to hide things in caves in and around me. They wanted to, and I know this because when they were pretending to be linear, they were, "Oh, like, are there any caves near or around you where we can lay offerings? Because I need to help a friend who's a drug addict, and we need to free her soul, and blah blah blah. And she lives near you, and how can we help her? And is there a cave near you?" So I knew they were trying to use black magic. Chris showed me the book, and it was all wrong. Like, I said to him, "There is nothing in this book that's correct." And he got angry with me, and it was only like not long after that they then tried to kill me, because they knew I was starting to figure everything out and whistleblow. So they thought they put a curse on me, but I'm so protected. You can't touch me. And everything that I went through, I was meant to go through, because look at what came out the other end. Everything that I learned about the mental health services and the occult, and the way that these doctors and that they're so close-minded and so uneducated about the spiritual process and the evolution of one's psychological mind, they can't think outside of that little teeny tiny handbook. I had to go in there to see what was going on, to know how to fix it, so that I could come out the other end, finish writing everything that I had to write, finish my science, finish developing quantum magnetics, to document everything, to put it all out there, to prove that my existence as God's messenger is real. It can't be denied. Even the most experienced psychiatrist or psychologist could not explain away in a court of law the accuracy of my science, because the evidence speaks for itself. So that which is destined for you cannot be changed. Nobody has the right to play God on your life because nobody has the authority. I don't play God when I point fingers to take people down. I'm a karmic judge. It is my job, it is my right, it is my destiny to point people out to God, to say, look what they're doing. And the doctors, the cops, the people from social services, all the tarot readers, Sumo Digital, all the people that they had on their side are all now paying the consequences for what they did because they targeted innocent people and innocent children and taking money from innocent people and getting innocent people caught up in things that they had no business in getting involved in because they first decided to target me. And you don't pick on a gatekeeper. You don't pick on an ordained by God high priestess, and not just God. I'm ordained by them all. Thoth, Atua, Satan. Like I have the blessing of them all. That's why I'm so powerful. But I don't need to show it off because we're humble. You know, when you're an oracle, we're humble. When you look at what the definition of an oracle is, they're usually middle-aged, single women of poverty with such powerful gifts because they live a humble life. So the gods know that they can trust them because they're not sitting in ego. They're not sitting in pride and they're not sitting in ego. I'm sitting here walking around the most powerful, supernaturally powerful woman on earth with a broken tooth, holes in my clothes. I've barely got enough food to last until Monday. But I'm as happy as a lark because I sit in peace because I know that I'm pure. I was deemed pure. God declared my purity now. I've been absolved of all my sins. He's forgiven me for all my sins. So now I am pure and I get to start again. And one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to make another video is because I've just been so busy writing with my little group. I've got a little group and oh my God, I love them so much. I can't wait to work with them in the future. I really can't. They've been so supportive and they're loving what I'm writing. You know, they're really into what I'm writing. They get it. They get what I'm writing. But, you know, they're kids, so they would. And they're really supportive of it. And so I'm currently putting the finishing touches on Vaile Black. And then I'm going to start on Mother Knows Best, which is my other horror, which I'm not going to go into because it's one of those things where you can't give the ending away. But yeah, so I'm busy writing and I'm loving every minute of it. I feel like I'm in a nice warm bath, to be honest. So what you need to know is that if you... I'll put a link in the description box below of the video that I made about, what was his name, that NASA scientist, the Bill Vaile, is it? You know, the one who got called to that house and he saw the woman doing the black magic and she was passing all the people's bad demons onto him and he took it back and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's all in his head. It was all in his head. It's all in your head. If you believe that the curse works, it's going to work. Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. He's talking about the power of manifestation. And if you believe it is real, you will manifest it. The second you get offended and go, what did you just say about me? Like, even if it's that you find out someone lied or gossiped, right, about you, and it might have caused a breakup, it might have caused someone to leave you and you lost your relationship, or you know, you lost your job or whatever. Instead of getting upset and crying and saying why me, because then that's them exerting power over you, ha ha ha, I got you exactly where I want you, sort of thing. You just go, you arsehole, like, you have no power over me, whatever. Because the thing is, if your partner is going to leave you because they believed the lies and the gossip, if they didn't come to you and say, I got told this, is it true? to hear your side of it. They were never on your side anyway. If they get lured away to cheat, like with Martin and Rocio and Courtney, they flashed their fannies and, you know, opened their legs, and he sniffed that stench and off he went running. He believed everything that was told about them, walked straight into public recognition of having intercourse with a pedophile and a child abuser. So now the karma is his, and now he keeps trying to email me and call me. I come in peace. You know, can we talk about this? No, you got to deal with the karma of your actions. You made your bed, now you lie in it. So if they lure your partner away, your partner was never yours. Because I'm the sort of person that when people used to come to me and say stuff about my exes, I would cut off my relationship with those people to defend my exes. Of course, now I know they were probably right and I should have left them, but I gave my partners the benefit of the doubt and I defended them and I chose them because I'm loyal. It's not until I saw things or woke up to the truth of what I was denying, I had to do it myself. It has to be your journey. Nobody else can force you to change your path on their own. They can highlight it to you, and when they put curses and stuff on you, if anything's working, it is because of divine timing, because you've been told to look at the course of your path or the people you're around. You could be a perfectly innocent person going about your day. Someone says they've put a curse on you because they're jealous, and then something bad happens to you, and you think it's the curse, but it's not. It's because whatever's happened, it is God or your ancestors saying there's something that you need to reevaluate here. Look within and you'll find the answer on how to fix it. But the first thing you must do is get defensive. When you get defensive, what did you say about me? What did you just do? How dare you? When you do that, you don't get violent or anything like that. Just get angry, because when you get angry like that, you put that defensive barrier up. And then that energy, that negative energy, which is a lower vibration, can't penetrate the barrier, because when you're defensive, when you are righteously defensive, you're impenetrable, because righteous is way more powerful than damnation. So when they send you, you know, the curse of damnation, when they're damning you to suffer the consequences of, you know, their karmic retribution or whatever, when you stand in defiance and in your truth, that's righteous defense. And you absolutely have to be defensive of your personal space and your karmic journey, because we're all here to learn karmic lessons. We're all here to pay off karmic debt and to learn karmic lessons. So nobody has the right to play God over you. So, you know, Marcus Aurelius said that there's no excuse for lust and greed and the other vices other than anger. Because when you are angry, you're only angry for one of two reasons: because you're hurt or you're afraid, in which case it's justified. So when you find out people have said or done something to you that is an affront to your very nature, you are allowed to get angry, because then you put up that defensive barrier. But then the first thing you must do is say to God, say to your ancestors, you know, I'm protected by the blood of Christ, or, you know, I'm protected by my ancestors, I'm untouchable. When you know that you are innocent. But you can't play innocent if you're guilty, because then that accrues karmic debt as well. It's all to do with the balance of the conscious and subconscious mind. That which you do without thinking, that which you do intuitively, mixed with that which you do knowingly. The subconscious is what you do knowingly. The conscious is what you do intuitively without even thinking. Because your subconscious mind is your thinking mind. So there you go. So now you know what to do. And don't dabble with things you have no right dabbling in. There is no one who makes a sacrifice of an innocent person who is ever getting the blessing from the gods and ancestors. It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter how much you pay them, it doesn't matter how famous or popular or how accurate their work. I'm telling you now, if you make a sacrifice of an innocent, whether it be animal, mineral, or vegetable, if you chop a plant to use in a concoction or a hexa or whatever, if you dig up dirt, if you take anything from the earth that you do not have permission to use, that is hurting an innocent. Because you're hurting the planet, you're hurting my Papatuanuku, a living, breathing, conscious planet. You're taking plants and digging up dirt, you're cutting into her and, chopping her hair down, which are trees and plants, and if you look at it, would be the equivalent of the hair on our body. So if you kill an animal, if you target an innocent person, that is all taken from an innocent. You are not allowed to just help yourself to herbs. You can't even. I've seen tarot readers where I've thought, oh my God, there's people that have created tarot cards based on the totemic value of herbs and plants that they're not allowed to do because they're not gatekeepers. And every time I see these readers using these cards, I just think, oh my God, what the hell karmic debt's going to be facing these people and the ones who pay for the readings? Because when you pass that on and you take money from it, you're bringing innocent people into your karmic debt, and then they get judged as well, but they're walking into it blindly, whereas you should know better. You cannot do readings with crystals on the cards or with animals on the cards or with plants or anything like that on the cards if you don't have if you're not ordained to use them. And crystals are dangerous. If crystals are taken from the planet and not offered, you're already in trouble. So if you're running around with a house full of crystals, I've got the video there, I've already explained it, or you've got like wood incense burners or anything like that, if you've got anything in your home that has come from the planet that you don't have the right to have, if you're constantly sick, if you're constantly having money troubles, relationship problems, mental health issues, can't have trouble sleeping, anything like that, constantly losing jobs, constantly having to move, you need to have a look at all the things you have in your house that has come from Papatuanuku, because you may have just bought curses into your home. Utu. Tapu. So you need to take a hard look at yourself. It's why all my engagement rings, every engagement ring and wedding ring I've ever had has been fake. I will not put a real gem, a real diamond, a real topaz, a real ruby, whatever. I will not have a real one on my finger. Everything's cubic zirconia, everything's titanium. None of it is mined from the earth. I will not wear anything that is mined from the earth. My green stone came from a river where the stone sat on top of the water, well, under the water, but where it could be seen, and was given to me by my sister, so it was blessed and ordained by Papatuanuku, because it is my talisman. It's my version of a crucifix. It's my version of a cross. Indigenous people, we wear our green stones as our version of it's our sacred amulet, like our cross. They couldn't take this from me because it's my cross. They were taking jewelry off their other girls, but they let me have my greenstone because that's my cross, my version of a crucifix. It's very, very sacred to me, and I never ever take it off. It's why you never see me wearing necklaces. I'm not one of these people. I don't like jewelry. I like brooches, and I like bracelets, and rings, obviously, but not if it's come from the earth. Because you don't know the story of the land where it was mined, and with crystals, you're literally ripping the organs out of a living human, or a living conscious planet. It's the equivalent of a human sacrifice. You know how they'll kill people and take their hearts or their stomachs or whatever. Yeah, so even by lying about someone, even by falsifying someone's event or falsifying your story, even like making a false statement to the police, even putting a video or a TikTok out there where you're lying, is the form of a curse. And it will always come back on the one who tells the lies. When you are quote unquote whistleblowing on someone, which is what they think they're doing, I'm whistleblowing on them and I'm going to highlight their evils and their sins and their blah blah blah. If it's not true, it will come back on them and not you. So stand in your truth. Never ever lie to please anybody else, and never lie to dumb yourself down to fit into places that you don't belong, because you're better than that. And when you're falling for these voodoo dolls and these curses and going to these shamans and all of that, you're lowering your standards. You're lowering yourself to fit in around their energetic field, and you're better than that, which is why they target you in the first place. Don't give in to it. Stand in your power. Put up that barrier of protection and just keep moving, because God will strike them down with that fire of truth, and you're expected to walk out of that bushfire, rubbing the soot off of the debris that got burnt when you walked away. Let it all burn down, burn the whole thing down, let God burn the whole thing down. You just keep focusing on the light and keep walking, and you let God and your ancestors deal to all the ones who put you in that position. But always remember, when you come out of it, thank them. Thank them for everything that they put you through when you come out the other side, because they helped you get to where you were meant to go a lot faster than what you would have had you have had to figure it out by yourself. Because now I'm giving you all the answers. You know what to do when you're in those positions, and then it won't take years and years and years and years and years for you to figure it out like it was me. I went first, and now I'm handing you the map to say this is the path you got to go down. And then if you choose to follow that path, when you come out the other end, you just go, thank you for that experience. Because when God burns your past down, when God burns them all down, because remember, God is Satan and Satan is hellfire. So when that fire comes down, that's because they've pissed God off and he's turned into Satan. And when he burns their lives down, when he burns all their sins down, when he burns them down, it's purifying you. It's cleansing you and purifying you, and you're going through a massive purification process. When you come out the other end, you are so energetically cleansed and so pure that you can see everything so clearly for the first time in your life. It's like the rose-tinted glasses don't just come off your eyes, they come off your brain. And then you are so grateful for the experience. I'm telling you now, their curses become your blessings, because it's that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Their curses for you become your blessings, and God sets you a table in front of them and forces them to watch you eat. So the curse of karmic consequences, what they do to you will come back on them to be blessings for you. So and never has anything more truer been said than using my life as that example. So now you know what to do. And if there's anyone in your life who's going through it, now you know what to tell them. So hold your head up high. Know that you are loved, because you are. Ka kite anō. Mwah.